Brought to you by PrayLatin.com, makers of prayer cards featuring complete English phonetic renderings of Latin pronunciations.
You might remember a couple of weeks ago, towards the end of May, really, the governor, a Catholic of Washington State, signed a bill into law written by an apostate, somebody who left the Catholic faith, forcing priests to break the seal of confession if the court orders them to. Otherwise, they'll go to jail under certain circumstances, specifically about the Ted McCarrick wicked evil priest problem. And priests, if they do this, will be automatically excommunicated. Can only be lifted by, I believe, the Holy Father. The Pope has to personally lift that excommunication. The bishops, that's happened in the state of Washington, and the bishops of that state issued a public statement telling their priests that under no circumstances are they to comply with this law. And then the bishops threatened a lawsuit against the state. And then it kind of went away as a story. There are some people who believe that priests should violate the seal of confession, believing that an alleged offense confessed in the confessional is more important than the soul of the priest and their status in the church. This was obviously a religious freedom issue. This was a First Amendment issue. And we now have news on this. And it's an interesting update, to say the least. It was posted to the U.S. Department of Justice's social media pages. I'm using the one from Facebook here. Posted 17 hours ago from the time I'm broadcasting this. Justice Department sues Washington State over its new anti-Catholic law, Senate Bill 5375. Now, this is the U.S. Department of Justice, their official page on Facebook, with a verified badge and everything. Facebook's verified badge is a little different than those on X. The U.S. government is calling it an anti-Catholic law. The U.S. government, okay? That's how bad this is. Here are the details from their post. The Justice Department announced today that it filed legal action for a complaint and intervention against the state of Washington over its new state law, Senate Bill 5375, which violates the free exercise of religion for all Catholics and requires Catholic priests to violate the confidentiality seal of confession. Laws that explicitly target religious practices, such as the sacrament of confession in the Catholic Church, have no place in our society, said Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon of the Justice Department Civil Rights Division. Senate Bill 5375 unconstitutionally forces a Catholic priest in Washington to choose between their obligations to the Catholic Church and their penitence or face criminal consequences, while treating the priest penitent privilege differently than other well-settled privileges. The Justice Department will not sit idly by when states mount attacks on the free exercise thereof. Now they have more posted to their actual website, and we'll go over that in a second. But the responses to this, to that Justice Department posting, were abysmal. I'm going to actually go back to there and show you what some of these look like, because they're almost unbelievable, like how people have lost the plot on this. You have people saying that this is not anti-Catholic or anti-religious in any way. Oh, it's not anti-Catholic or anti-religious to force you to be excommunicated from your religion under the power of the state. Other people saying, well, it's interesting the DOJ is not telling us what this law requires. The law requires them to break the seal of confession under certain circumstances. What they're talking about here is those especially evil sins associated with Ted McCarrick. And I'm amazed that both that the U.S. government is intervening positively, and that so many people are just willing to throw freedom of religion, as we understand it in the United States, out the window on this. And I'm not talking about what the Catholic Church has to say about freedom of religion. I'm talking about what Americans hold as freedom of religion, how they're willing to just toss it out the window due to a media narrative. It's amazing. This lawsuit will go to almost certainly to the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, how do you think that's going to go over? I don't have a lot of trust in some of the justices there, but I have no doubt in my mind that this is going to be overturned 6-3 at least, if not more so. There are more details from this on the actual U.S. Justice Department website, which they linked to here. This is from the Office of Public Affairs. Let's actually bring this up a little larger so you can see it more easily and follow along. The Justice Department announced today that it filed legal action for a complaint in intervention against the state of Washington over its new state law violates free exercise of religion. As the Justice Department's lawsuit explains, the violations imposed by this new law on all practicing members of the Catholic Church, including Catholic priests administering the sacrament and Catholic penitents participating in the rite, include the deprivations of the free exercise of religion under the First Amendment and the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. And here's why it's the Equal Protection Clause. The original law actually targets the Catholic Church specifically. Weirdly, it doesn't name anybody else. The Orthodox have sacrament of penance, reconciliation, as it gets called in the post-conciliar paradigm, but they have confession. But it's Catholic priests who are named here. Pretty much no one else. So this Equal Protection Clause is a whammy for them. But also, the obvious one is the First Amendment. Undermines the accepted jurisprudence of the First Amendment. I just wonder what you think about this. Are you this surprised that the church is getting the assistance from the U.S. government? Curious what you have to say about it. I'm curious what you think about today's story. Are you surprised in any way that we get the data that we get? Or are you surprised in any way that we get this, that the U.S. government is siding with the bishops? Do you think that's just because of who's running the government right now and how he is, at the very least, you may not like him, but at least he has no overt hostility to the Catholic Church in general, and that he seems to have put people in positions to do something about these more blatant attacks on Catholicism that we've seen by the U.S. government in the last 5 years. Curious what you have to say on this, so let me know in the comments, please. Hit like and subscribe. If you haven't, it does help. Sharing this on social media helps as well. And as always, pray for the church. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.